Alright, put his head in the water. There we go. Give him a few shots like that. Rolls back towards you. There you are. Put his face right in the water. Say. Well, folks, it's time for another fishing report. And you might notice a change in the scenery. So I'm in the western tribs of Lake Ontario. We're on the brown trout water. So if you recognize the scenery in the back, it's because you know the place, and don't say anything in the comments. If you know it, I ain't giving anything away, and I ain't saying where I am. So let me get through some quick announcements. First, we just posted a fishing video, fishing an egg bite. That's up. That's been up for a few days. So if you go into the fishing videos, you'll see it. We're steelhead fishing and dealing with an egg bite. That's coming. I have a tip video on how we fish the egg bite. That's sitting on the waiting line to come up. That'll be posted probably in the next few days. So obviously hit that subscribe button, that bell icon. Hit that bell icon. That'll let you know when we get those videos up. And I'll be doing some more fishing parts, so that way you can pick all that up. But the tip video is coming. An actual fishing video, we finally got one done, is up. The other announcements is we're still, once again, a reminder on the upcoming spade casting clinic. We'll be taking email listings so we can put the word out in the spring, early summer, so we get scheduled for that. That's the last weekend of August. So that's pretty much about it, I think, for the announcements. I do have one major announcement to be made. I think it's best if I do it on the end of the fishing report. So I would encourage everybody to stay tuned and listen to it. It's pretty significant. But anyways, what's up with the fishing? Well, obviously, as I said, I'm on the brown trout water. But what I'm going to do is start out with the Salmon River. George has been fishing the lower part into the Douglas and Salmon Run, and that has settled into a typical steelhead grind. So he's having to cover a lot of water, fish through it, fish a minute. There is a moderate to a slight amount of fish in the DSR. You got to cover a bunch of water. You got to fish through this prime water. You got to fish it smart and move. Get itchy feet. Cover water, cover water, cover water, cover water. Sounds like a familiar theme. And fish that water smart and move on. You hit a fish or two, get out of there. So what's going on? You get a small trickle of fish that come in. They sit in all these nice little prime spots. You might pick a fish up because there's one there. You might not because there's not one there. And you got to cover water to find a fair amount of fish. The more water you cover, the more bites you're going to get. Very typical of the DSR this time of year. Using a variety of egg flies and even starting to swing some of the bigger pools, that old 2.5 to 3.5 inch intruder style, the fun stuff, is working really good. Still buggers, egg sucking leeches, cool intruders, pinks and blacks and purples, some nice little colors. Have fun with the intruders and just try it. It can vary from day to day, sometimes fish to fish. Egg flies in the pocket water, absolutely. Egg flies in the sweet spot, of course. There's not a lot of spawning. The fish are really getting off the egg bite in the lower river, so the really cool stuff is working. But they still respond quite well to an egg pattern down there. But if you want to swing, it's the time to swing. Just be mindful, today's a very cold day. I don't think it got out of the 30s today where I'm at. Very cold. Yesterday, it was in the upper 50s. We had a big temperature swing, so that actually is affecting our fishing here. And it is affecting the fishing up on the Salmon River when you have those big drops. So when you have temperature drops, definitely focus in on the afternoon bite. Upper River. Upper River's been fishing quite well. They're not as affected as much with the temperature swings. There is still a much stronger egg bite in the Upper River. They are starting to respond to some swinging flies. Ricky hasn't said much about nymphs yet, but definitely egg flies. And there's still a bunch of fish in the fast water. So if you get a real big temperature drop, those fish will slide into a little bit slower water. When that water temperature rebounds and comes up, those fish are still moving back into the fast water. So they're bouncing around a little bit, so you got to cover everything. And a lot of egg flies, size 8, size 10s, they do use like 3X or 8-pound tippet up there And even downriver when George is drifting, he's having to back down to tippets. But the fish are very hot, so fish a loose drag. Even upriver, even down the bottom of the river and to the DSR, loose drags is a good idea. 8-pound tippets is recommended when you're drifting. If you're swinging, stay with 12. Those fish are whacking. They'll crush it. So you want to have some heavier tippet. So that's kind of what's going on with the Salmon River. Water temperatures are fluctuating wildly. Water flows are still at the 335 release at the dam. They got a little bit of runoff. I think we have some wet weather coming in later this week, so you want to obviously check your water flows before you go up, especially if you see some wet weather. But if outside of a lot of rain, the water flows are going to stay at the 350 mark, 335 release, probably 500 at Pineville. It's going to stay right around there. It's been holding there. And that's pretty much what's going on with the salmon. Oh, by the way, yeah, Ricky's been up in some of the upper creeks and north of there, and he's been finding some steelhead and a bunch of salmon up in the sandies. So we're Rick and George are covering a lot of water. They're moving in multiple places. They're up in the bottom of the Salmon River. They're up in the sandies, chasing around. They've been finding steelhead everywhere. So there's not a huge concentration of fishing in one spot, but they're actually having some pretty decent steelhead fishing. So that's kind of what's going on in that end of the lake. Here on the west end, around the Oak Orchard area, water flows are decent. They're not great. We could use some rain. We're doing a lot of clear water. There's a nice run of browns in, decent amount of fish in. So things have been fishing pretty good. It's an egg bite all the way. We've been using Oregon cheese nuclear roe bugs, size 8, egg beaters. There's a bunner rum, burnt orange, size 8. It's been doing really good. A lot of brown trout, few Atlantic salmon. Actually, today and yesterday we put some Atlantics in the net. The browns have been decent size. I think the biggest we've seen so far is maybe 10 or 11 pounds, but a really nice crop of 3-year-old fish, which will put you right around 22, 23 inches, give or take a pound, around 7 pounds. Just beautiful fish. But and a lot of that, we had a squirt of fresh fish come in yesterday that we got into. Today we're fishing the tail end of it. But I think our biggest problem today is we're in the creeks and we had probably a 6-7 degree temperature drop. If you're really struggling with temperature drops, you can try Oak Orchard. The fishing pressure there is pretty heavy, normal for this time of the year. But the nice thing about the Oak, I think there's still some 50 degree water temperatures over there because of the reservoirs holding up a lot of water, and we've got a great heat sink there. So you don't get the big fluctuating water temperature flows in there with the temperatures. So that's really what's going on. Big egg bite for the brown trout, which is normal. Oregon cheese, orange. If we get some dirty water, chartreuse is always great. On the Salmon River, it's egg flies, intruders, cover water, swing or drift. Works both. Both are working good, but it's a coverage game. Cover a lot of water, you'll find it's been consistently decent is the best way to describe it. So that's pretty much what's going on with the fishing. Now, as for the announcement that I mentioned earlier, that's pretty significant. This is going to be pretty tough. Hopefully I can get through it on the first shot. I have to, with a very heavy heart, announce the loss of my father-in-law, my mentor, my dear friend, Carl Coleman. We lost him recently due to a massive heart attack. He's going to be dearly missed, and I know a lot of people that follow the YouTube channel and is familiar with Coleman's Fly Shop. There's a lot of people out there that follow this that are fly tyers that were in part of the fly tying class that he was part of. So there's going to be a great void that he's leaving behind. And of course I'm going to miss my beloved father-in-law. So that, I have to sign off and say, see you on the river, folks. This is Jay at JPEG Guides and Lost River Fishing. We are a year-round fly fishing catch and release guide service. We fish the Lake Ontario tributaries, and then during the spring and the summer we also fish the inland trout streams, classic dry fly fishing. During the heat of the summer we will do the warm water fishing for bass and pike. If you're interested in any of our outings or have any questions, please feel free to email us at fish@lostriversfishing.com. Hope to hear from you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.